So you want to know if overtraining is good or bad for your body? Well, in today's discussion, we're going to take a deep dive into the concepts of overtraining, and we're going to also answer a bunch of great questions that have come in from our Movement Mastermind and our YouTube tribe right after this. We are the gym that teaches people how to move instead of just exercise, because we believe that health is about performance, not just body image. And hey guys, if we haven't met, my name is Yanni, and over to my right here is Rad, and we are Unity Gym. We have Richie behind the camera, and we're the gym that teaches people how to nourish and move instead of diet and exercise, because we believe the health and fitness industry has it backwards. Woo. Okay, big topic of discussion today. It's something that we're very passionate about. Before we dive in, how are you today, Rad?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Been a little bit tired this week. Just, you know, having a 2-year-old is challenging, but I'm good. I mean, I feel great. There's some really good stuff happening. I'm about to do a second interview with a couple of potential virtual assistants today, and to be honest, I'm lost as for what it's going to do for me, because I'm just thinking of all the things that they're potentially going to take over and what it's going to free up for me. So I'm very excited about that.
Yeah.
I'm excited about you and me being able to focus on more important stuff than just, you know,
running the business,
inquiries and, you know, things that anyone can deal with.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, we're growing the team here at Unity. It's very exciting, and we're bringing on also another videographer so that we can start to produce more content, which is really exciting. Lots happening. Let's dive straight into the concept of overtraining, because there is very varying degrees of opinion on this matter. And I will say that the majority of people who, I was going to say something really controversial then, but I'll pull the reins back. I was going to say the majority of people I've met or come across who say that overtraining is a myth are steroid users. And that's just the experience I've had. I know that's an outlandish claim, but the reality is...
Well, that's our experience.
That's our experience. Right there.
That's our experience.
Yeah.
We're not saying that's what it's like in the world, but that's our experience.
Yeah. There is certainly science suggesting that you can overtrain muscles.
And then on the other hand, everybody that we know that absolutely believes that you can overtrain, they don't use steroids.
Yeah.
All the people that we know that have, I mean, I'm 40, I turn 41 next month. Yanni turns 39 in a couple of days. And, sorry, not next month for me, in 2 months. And people our age or even older that don't use steroids and things like that, they all tell you, yeah, you have to really be careful as to how much you train.
But there's another side to this story, and I will go there. The majority of general populations will never overtrain, because you just don't train hard enough, frequently enough, you know. Most people, I say most people who are not really into their training, who don't train, I honestly believe that if you're training less than 3 or 4 times a week, you'll never overtrain.
You know, I didn't even think of this until we just started talking about it then, but I love, Ido Portal has a really good little 90-second video on the concept of overtraining.
Yep. And
he says that he gets so many questions about overtraining because of how much he trains. I mean, that guy trains for hours and hours a day, every day. And when I say hours, we're talking like 7 or 8 hours.
Yeah.
But he calls overtraining a specialist disease. It's
Yeah.
something that comes from specialization, not from a general overuse. I mean, I've seen this video so many times I can almost quote his words, not from a general overuse of the organism, of the human body.
Yep.
So what we're talking about, you can go quite deep into it, because I also believe in that. And we train for, I train on average about 3 hours, maybe even sometimes 3.5 hours a day, 6 days a week, maybe on Saturday only for 2.5 hours. Most people would say that that is overtraining, that I'm training too much, but it's a very smart way of putting things together, which is different to what we're about to talk about now.
That's right, yeah. And this is the big thing, and this is really what I wanted to drill down on this. because, you know, some people say overtraining is a myth, and those people either have figured it out and understand the concept of specialization and generalist approaches to exercise and movement, or they take a lot of exogenous help to by that I mean external help. They're taking supplements that support rapid recovery, which is one of the big things that banned drugs do. You know, they really aid in recovery and those sort of processes. Now, I'm by no means a pro when it comes to the use of steroids and peptides. I've never used them, and that's not to say that the thought hasn't crossed my mind, but it's just something that I've never really got involved with. So I can't really comment. My ability to discuss that is very limited, and same with Rad. He sits in the same boat. But what we do know is that there is what we've spoken a lot about, the concept of supercompensation, and if you ignore that concept, then you generally won't get as good a result. And you could say that that's because of overtraining. You know, you're either hitting those muscles too hard, too soon, again, before they've had time to have that supercompensation curve kick in, or generally you hit it too early or you hit it too late and you don't take advantage of it. I approach the concept of overtraining lightly because it really depends on the person, the mindset of the person, you know, what your goals are and things like that. And for us, it's very hard for us to overtrain because we have a program that's periodized where we really aim to capitalize on that supercompensation curve. We do a lot of, there's a lot of variables in our program: mobility, flexibility, strength, skill. And what Rad said there...
And we have 72 hours break between using the same muscle groups. Yeah,
that's right. You know, we time it quite well. And so, yeah, for us, it's quite hard to overtrain.
But why don't we go into the question, because this is a pretty specific question that we've had. So Leah has said, hey, just a quick question again. Do you think doing a boot camp 3 times per week cardio for fat loss and then the FMS program is too much?
You really don't need to read the entire question
okay,
out.
right.
You could just say, do you think...
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, all right.
I wanted to say that for so long when he reads these questions out.
My answer to that would be yes, it is too much. And the reason why it is too much is that boot camps are not good cardio, in our opinion. Boot camps are everything that's really wrong about the fitness industry, which is the idea of beating up your body and beating it into shape. And I've run boot camps before. In my amateur days as a personal trainer 15 and 16 years ago, we ran boot camps, and I see them all the time, and they're terrible. Now that I know what I know, and now that we do something like the FMS, whenever I see a boot camp, all I see is everything that's wrong with it.
Yeah.
And there's so little thought, if any. Well, actually, I'd say there's no thought gone into the best way to program for people. The way that exercises are paired together, the body just, like if you do a boot camp 3 or 4 days a week, you just get smashed on the same things over and over and over again. And the risk of injury is so high. And it's just not a good way to train at all.
Yeah.
So I think personally, my answer is, I think boot camps are bad all round. I would never recommend anybody do a boot camp. But if you rephrase that question and said, okay, well, what about if I do cardio? Absolutely, do some cardio. Go for it. Cardio's, of course, cardio's great. And the only thing that I would say about cardio is think about the stresses that it puts on your body. If you do running and it hurts you, if it causes shin pain, knee pain, or hip pain, or lower back pain, then I would not do it at all. And honestly, my opinion, if someone says they get those kinds of pain when they run, what should I do? I'd say stop running. I don't even think you should work through it. Like, your body is, we're so deconditioned for running, and we all remember doing it as kids, but it causes more injuries than any other activity. That's not my opinion. That's statistics that you can look up if you want. There's no other physical activity around the world that causes more injuries than running.
Look, I'll jump in as well, and in regards to Leah's question, it's a great question, and I strongly encourage people to do a fair bit of cardio, especially outside of the foundation movement system, because we don't do a lot of it in the foundation movement system. We do a warm-up, and we sometimes do a bit of intervals, but that's about it. In regards to the cardio concept outside of exercise, brilliant, but you want to, outside of your weights training, it's a really good idea, and I love to split it up. I'm a really big fan of doing, you know, your big strength training session in the morning, strength and mobility, and then a bit of cardio in the evening or afternoon, and that can be anything from walking, light jogging, rowing, boxing. I think is really great because it conditions the joints in the upper body that we don't often get. You know, anything like that. Swimming is fantastic. I got a guy I train here who I get him to swim every day. It's a really, really good type of muscle contraction when you're in water, and you can't replicate that anywhere else. So yeah, I'm a big fan of that, but I agree 100% with what Rad said in regards to boot camps. Boot camps, the problem with the health and fitness industry is that we've framed exercise as a painful thing that needs to smash you and mess you up. And there are truths to the concept of stress. I'm a huge believer that stress is a good thing. The way we approach stress is a really bad thing. Being exposed to stress is really important for growth, but exercise should be a happy place. Exercise should be a place that you frame as a really, really good thing, a happy thing, and we should be building the body that we love, not breaking down the body that we hate to try and achieve our goals. And the whole concept of military style boot camps, and you gotta remember, you're talking to two guys here who were infantry soldiers in the military for 5 years, who have done plenty of military style boot camp training. There is a reason for the fact that these guys have to do that. You know, they are pushing themselves to the absolute limit so that they can endure the hardest of scenarios, and their minds are conditioned, but there's not really much reason for that in everyday life.
No, I mean, when you're in the army, you have to be able to run around with anywhere from 20 to 70 kilos on your body, and you have to be able to fight with it, and then you have to be able to potentially pick someone up that got shot and drag them out to a chopper. So that's where those boot camps come from. They put you through this stress where you're just carrying shit, and you're running, and then you're getting up and down, and then you're climbing shit, because that's what you would have to do in a battlefield.
I think there's
these PTs or whoever started boot camps, wherever that started from. I mean, the name boot camp is literally a rip-off. Well, I can't think of the right word, but it's a rip-off of military style training. That's because that's what boot camp is called. That's what you do in America. You go to boot camp. Yeah. You don't do that in Australia. It's called basic training. But it's totally framed around military training, and I heard a really good analogy of why military training doesn't work well for civilians, and that's because you're not paid to do it, and you're not covered by work compensation if you get injured.
That's right.
And in the military, if you go through this basic training that you do every day, that everybody wants to do when they go to Tough Mudder and Spartan Race, if you bust your ankle, you're on workers' compensation. You get totally looked after, you get everything paid for, and if you can't work for 6 months, you're fine. But if you do that at your boot camp before work here, you're fucked.
Yeah. Isn't there an element, and you can answer this, we've got two professionals here who can answer this, isn't there an element of boot camp and military style training to weed out the weak people?
Yeah, I'm sure it is. The whole military process is designed to weed out the weak people. You know, the whole process of it is that only the people that can survive or the training. And the funny thing is that everybody thinks it's the physical stuff that is the hardest, and it's not even close. The mental stuff is what's the hardest part of the military training. And yeah, for sure, it's designed to weed out the weak, and only the strongest people that survive. I mean, the way that they break you in the army, the amount of people that get broken just from the training that you do every day is phenomenal. It is unbelievable how many of the guys, and when you look at it, I would talk to some of the PTs, the PTIs, the physical training instructors about it, and they just, oh man, it's such an old, outdated way of doing things, but it's the way it is, and it's the way it's always been done, and it does serve its purpose, you know.
Well, that's the thing. There is a reason for it in the army, but there's really no reason for it outside of the army, except that it capitalizes on this like intrinsic feeling that we have, that we dislike our body the way it is, and we want to beat it up and change it. And
I reckon there's so many things going on as well. I think there's another thing that's at play there, which is you know, people are not happy with the way that they are, and they feel like it's time to make a decision to change their body. And now that they've made the decision, it's how can I make this happen as quick as possible? Yeah. And I'm going to go and do the most extreme thing that I can, because that is going to produce the best results.
Yeah.
Which is just, it's wrong on so many levels. It's not the way it is. Like, health and fitness is a journey, and once you make the decision to do it, you've made a decision to embark on a journey, not to reach a destination.
Yeah,
it's
not.
Exactly
it's not. Right. It's a lifestyle.
Yeah, it's not that you go, oh sweet, I've made this decision now. Now all I have to do is get to that destination and I'm done. How quickly can I get there? That's not what it is. And then there's another thing that comes into play that I think as well is, so this is my observation of the health and fitness industry and the evolution of it over the last 30 years or 25 years, ever since maybe I was paying attention to it as a teenager. What you see that would motivate you to go to the gym, what did you see back in the 80s? It was Arnold Schwarzenegger and people of his level, or Jane Fonda, you know, people doing aerobics, training their fucking asses off, man. Like, when you see Arnold Schwarzenegger training in the gym back in the 80s, or Lou Ferrigno, or any of the big bodybuilders that you would see, did you see them sitting there doing wrist extensions and smiling and having a go with each other? Or did you see them doing their last rep on a 40 rep drop set, where they're like this, and the veins are popping out of their head, and they're just so pumped and jacked? And then you see, what was the other thing you saw as that sort of evolved? You'd see athletes training, right? And you'd see like a runner or a sprinter or a NFL player training, and they were sprinting up and down stairs, or doing shuttle runs, or doing burpees or whatever. Like, you never saw them doing their light, gentle off-season stuff, because that doesn't look good on camera. And so we've been polluted with this idea that that's what training should be like, that it should be you veins popping out of your head and pushing yourself until you fall over in the gym and you can't even stand up, or that you're spewing. And it's just not what it's like in real life, because people don't understand supercompensation. They don't understand the way that they don't understand a meso and a macro cycle, and the way that stuff that you see from a good strength and conditioning coach is only right at the end of a meso or macro cycle. You know, that there's all this lead up to get to there, and most people at the top, they don't train that way all the time. And
they certainly don't train like that all the time.
And the bodybuilders that you see doing that, they are all on the juice. Like, if you think that they're not on the juice, you're an absolute fool. And that's why they can train that way.
Well, it certainly helps, and it certainly makes the most of it. I think you touched on a really good point there, in regard to the fact that it's a journey, it's not a destination, it's a lifestyle change, and that's a big thing in regards to this question. I basically said it comes down to what your goals are, you know, and I dare say that anyone who sets a really short-term goal to get in shape, the chances of them staying in shape long-term are so slim, it's not even funny. Like, we know this by statistical data. What comes quickly goes quickly as well, you know. And I think we need to sort of cultivate a longer-term mindset, and the whole concept of boot camp, you know. I don't know if boot camps even sell 12-month memberships, you know, like...
I don't know if anyone who would survive it.
Yeah, I mean,
they usually sell them in like 6 or 12-week blocks. But you know what else? There's something else, like, Leah, what you're saying here, you know, wanting to cardio for fat loss, and then the FMF's program.
What you didn't see in my answer there is the fact that the biggest intervention that I've suggested is going to come from lifestyle and diet for fat loss.
Yeah, so Yanni's, so I want to elaborate on that, because... You know, the truth is that the research shows that the best way to lose fat is through cardiovascular training, and the reason why that is because it burns more calories than than weightlifting.
Yep.
And weight loss is a simple matter of calories in versus calories out, and you burn calories in a workout, it's going to aid in weight loss. But the thing is that everybody that I know that is of a really healthy body composition, so the three people in this room, Kalisha, Richard, who you can't see behind the cameras there, is the third person I'm talking about. Kalisha, Yanni's partner, who's on this show often and who's a member of Unity Gym. My fiance, just people I'm thinking of. Aaron, our friend, Aaron McKenzie. We don't do a massive amount of cardio to look the way that we do and to have the body composition that we have. What we do is we eat good food and we live a lifestyle that supports, that nourishes a healthy body.
We live a lifestyle that's in alignment with the way we want to look and behave and feel.
That's right. And so I think that there needs to be a real paradigm shift around this idea of weight loss, where you don't think, okay, I want to lose weight, I need to kill myself with cardio and diet. That's, the research might show that, you'll lose weight quicker if you do that. But guess what the research also shows? You never keep it off.
Yeah.
No one keeps weight off when they go on a diet. Like, there's so much research around that. And what people keep the weight off is long-term change. And you were telling me about the recent studies that are showing that even when you lose, like let's say you're someone my size, but you weigh 120 kilos, or in America, what are we talking, 250 pounds, 260 pounds, and you lose 80 pounds or 90 pounds, it actually takes about 7 years of you staying at that weight for your body to reset and for that to become your basal weight and to normalize at that. And that makes so much sense to me, because we all know people, and maybe that's even you that's experienced this, where you lose weight and then you just put it back on 6 months later. Yeah. So I think the real gold thing for you here, Leah, would be to understand that yes, cardio is going to be healthy, and I would recommend doing it. Don't do boot camp. Because boot camp is going to be an overuse thing. I really do believe boot camp, it just stresses the body too much. But the big change that's going to happen for you for fat loss is going to come from taking a really honest look at the foods that you eat and the lifestyle that you're living and the social activities that you're interacting in.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what I've said in the written answer. So how are we going for time?
Yeah, we're coming to the end now.
Yeah.
We've got to finish up.
So to wrap up, guys, in regards to overtraining, I believe overtraining is a mindset. I believe that if you're doing the same things on repeat to achieve a very narrow-minded goal, which would probably be physique enhancement, build a bigger chest, build bigger shoulders, then overtraining is certainly something that you may experience. And you can do things to mitigate overtraining. You can focus on the supercompensation effect and make sure you're giving 72 hours between workouts, body parts, things like that. You can take supplements, even just dietary protein helps to mitigate the chances of overtraining, and leucine, amino acids, magnesium, things like that. Zinc will boost your immunity and help with tissue remodeling. There's like things you can do, and then you can go really radical and take steroids and exogenous hormones and things like that, which I don't really recommend, but I don't know enough about. And I do know that there can be benefits when you're 40, 50 years old to taking exogenous hormone therapies. In America, doctors will prescribe it. In Australia, it's a little bit different. But overtraining is certainly real. But I believe it's a mindset thing, because if you take the approach that Rad and I take, which is more of a generalist approach, we really have an even focus on strength and mobility. It's very, very hard to overtrain if you get your programming right.
Yep. Yeah, I think my final note would be I believe that overtraining is a specialist problem, and if you specialize in anything, then you can absolutely overtrain if you try and push yourself too much in it. But if you listen to your body and you create a well-rounded program like the FMS, then you can train for hours and hours and hours in a day and not overtrain at all.
Yeah. And as
and
always,
then follow periodization as well, using
Yeah.
deloads.
as always, guys, there's a link in our description if you want to take a look at the Foundation Movement System online training. I know that Leah, who asked the question today, is already diving into it. And until next time, it's Friday for us tomorrow here in Australia. We're going to be wrapping the week up. And yeah, it's good to be back.
Yep. See you guys.
See you guys. We are the gym that teaches people how to move instead of just exercise, because we believe that health is about performance, not just body image.